Film Addict. I am your host. I don't even know why I do that. Maybe I should
water guns. Those little water guns.
I was envisioning like putting the bullets in them, and so I don't know what this was, but it didn't work out. Anyway, I am your host, the Film Doctor.
And the Film Surgeon.
At least I changed mine up. Why do I have to keep hearing that same exact one? Dude, can we spice it up? Okay, nope. We'll go back to the old one. Okay.
The Film Surgeon. And we are back in the attic with another hot film to dissect. Judas and the Black Messiah, coming to us from HBO Max, and y'all know what to do.
So let's go ahead and jump right into our film review. Oh, you know, I know you want to hear what I have to say, but go ahead and do your film review. You saw it before me. So go ahead and tell me what you think. Mine's fresh. Yes, that's great. But I still am sitting on some things. You've had time to sit on yours. Let's hear it.
I'm going to go ahead and just throw some facts out there first before I dive into the review. So currently, I'll go with some bigger awards. Daniel Kaluuya for this movie is up for a few awards. Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actor, and it has the Best Original Song, Fight For You by her, D-Mile, and Tierra Thomas. And he's also up for a Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Male Actor in a Supporting Role. So he's got some stuff behind him. He's already won a couple of Best Supporting Actors at some other film festivals. So, jumping into my review, there are a lot of, I want to start with the acting. There are a lot of familiar faces here. 3 people in particular, if you've seen Get Out. Daniel Kaluuya, Lakeith Stanfield, and Laurel Mowry is also in this movie. Dominique Fishback, you'll know her if you've seen Project Power and watched her review on Project Power. Go check that out. So there are a lot of familiar faces in this movie and in the background. So I'm going to start with the negative, and then I'm going to go to the positive. This movie is way too long. I know it was only 2 hours. It felt like 5, in my opinion. I started watching this movie, and halfway through it, I was like, is it over? Oh no, I got a whole another hour. So, with that being said, there's a caveat to that. I enjoy history, and I like biopics, different things like that kind of do the retelling of history. If you're not into that, I don't think that this would be for you. Because it's kind of in that mold of, you know, and I hate to compare it to like Straight Outta Compton or something. Maybe like Malcolm X by Spike Lee. It's kind of in that mold of movie making. And so if you're not into like that history kind of yeah, I know that was hot. If you're not into that history kind of movie making, biopic kind of making thing, then this might not be for you, just so you know. There is some action in here. There's a lot of stuff going on, especially for people who don't know the story of Fred Hampton. So it can be educational, and they stuck very closely to the story of what actually happened. And the story actually isn't even kind of about him. It's about Bill O'Neill, who is a real person. So I want to say they had a pretty good storyline. It can seem like it's long, just so everyone knows. The acting I thought was pretty good. Didn't have any problem with the acting or anything like that. The accent of Daniel Kaluuya may or may not bother some people. It did not bother. It did not.
I am a revolution. I am a revolution.
I am a revolutionary, but yes, it may or may not bother some people. It didn't bother me, but I'm not gonna say it might bother some other people. But the acting, as far as the acting goes, I had no issues with that. Set design had no issues with that. Cinematography didn't really have issues with that. I think my main drag, and I'll point two things out and wrap up my review. My main drag is that how long it took for us to get to certain points and kind of find out what was going on, and especially the weird way that the movie started and just how long and drawn out the movie is. This movie didn't need to be 2 hours, and it was. So two things that I want to point out. They didn't really do anything revolutionary with the cinematography, so it's not anything that I can really point out about that. They had some good shots, but nothing when I was watching the film that I was like, oh my God, that was crazy. But they had some really good shots in here. But the actors did a really good job of portraying the emotions. I want to give them that. And then what I do want to give them is, I will say one film shot. There wasn't a lot, but one film shot that I can remember that sticks vividly out in my head is when he's in isolation, I guess, or whatever, in a prison cell. And the way they shoot that is they shoot it from the glare of when it's coming in, just like you would regular. It's when they shoot it back at him so he can read through the light. I think that's cool, and the way they faded that out, I thought that was pretty cool. But it wasn't like, wow, oh my God, it's like a regular prison camera shot. So my rating for this movie, I'm so conflicted because I enjoyed it. My issue is that I don't know how much other people enjoy it. Like, that's kind of what I'm balancing here. So I'm gonna give it a B+. Is where I end on it. With the caveat that if you don't like history biopics and you're not into that type of movie, this may not be for you. So now that I've given my review, let's hear what you have to say.
So, when I pick movies or suggest movies like, hey, we should do this one on Filmatic, I go based on the kinds of movies that I know are thrilling movies. I have a certain genre that I like, and that's suspense and thriller. I do enjoy history biopics. Not all of them are always good. There's still one that I'm waiting to get to called Rocket Man. And, I've heard good things about it, but I just feel like I wouldn't be interested in it. This particular movie was one that interested me just because I saw it to be the story of, the Black Panthers. And like you said, it's not the story of Fred Hampton. It's really more the story of William O'Neill. But when I saw the trailer, I saw it to be the trailer, captivating around the story about the Black Panthers.
Fair assessment.
And, for a historical movie, I can't say that the story is amazing because the story is something that's already happened. It's not something original. It's like, well, we know the story. It's something that's real life. So how can I say, the story was amazing because it's real life. It's something that actually happened. Right. So when I try and give ratings on the movies that I review here on Filmatic, I try to make sure that I pick out those certain things that stood out about the film. It could be one thing, it could be two things, it could be many things. But the story in this is not one of them because it's something that's real. And that's not their fault. It's a historical picture, historical film. And so then I look at the acting, and the acting it was good. It was nothing that stood out. I personally don't know anything about Fred Hampton. And even if they were like, this is a movie about Martin Luther King and his performance of Martin Luther King was phenomenal. I'm like, well, it's very general. I mean, how can you really make that outstanding performance of Martin Luther King? So even for Fred Hampton, the acting, it was good, but it was nothing that I can say was outstanding. The cinematography, very basic. It wasn't something that really stood out to me. I think from a filmmaker's perspective, that there was opportunities where they could have done some really cool shots that in my head, I was like, ooh, that'd have been amazing if they would have done this or that. And it was just a very basic, let's just film it regular so that we can captivate the moment and tell the story of something that's already happened. So to me, and the music wasn't something that really stood out to me significantly. It was very dry music. And a lot of times music will cause you to feel something. And I don't think I gained any feeling from the music. Now, I don't want to say all these things to say that makes it bad. because even when I made it maybe about 60% through the movie, and it is a long movie, 36 minutes in, I was just like, am I an hour and a half? I'm only 36 minutes in. Are you kidding me? How much more I gotta? Okay. And I'm not saying that a long movie makes it bad, because when you're covering something of history, sometimes you do need a lot of that time in order to tell that story. But at the same time, is that story has to be something that pulls you in. The thing that I want to point out is that thinking that this was the story about the Black Panthers, how this, when I'm going into it 60% in, I'm like, man, yeah, this is good to tell them about, you know, this cop that was undercover, but I really want to know how the Black Panthers started. You know, they talked about how they ended in the assassinations and everything, but I didn't learn anything in 2 hours, which they could have definitely given 10, 15 minutes to how it started, about that history. And I think that was the bum out. It was the thing that bummed me out the most. And it's like, I guess we'll use the reference of Martin Luther King again. It's like telling the story about Martin Luther King, but you don't cover the assassination. Like, to cover the whole thing with the Black Panthers having this guy undercover and not cover how they really started, I think was something that's misleading. That's a big part of the history. Like, why did they come about? Why were they founded? Just to focus on that part of the story. But I guess this is the movie about that part of it. The thing that really, and that kind of had my rating at a very low rating, not low where it's like a B- or anything. I think I had it at a B+.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And by the end of it, I love those movies when they show the actual people, when they tell you what happened. I think that that's almost becoming a formula of what they do in all historical kind of movies, to kind of tell you that, especially if those individuals are still alive. I really do think that it's interesting that his son is now the chairman of the Black Panthers. I didn't know that it was still in existence. Well, I guess Black Cubs or whatever they call it nowadays. I don't think it's Black Panthers.
There's been some iterations of the Black Panther Party, but yes, this is just third iteration. So I think that boosted it up just for me to learn more, but I still wanted to know more, like how they were founded. Because none of those other things captivated me. To bring it to an A+, A- at the most. And I'll still even say a B+, because I'm looking at other filmmakers or other audiences, Black audience. I think a Black audience would appreciate the movie a little bit more than a different audience. Yeah. And it's not to say that other races want it, but I think that they'll appreciate it more because they want to know that history of their culture just as much as I would. As any kind of audience member going to see this movie, honestly, I think that, yeah, they might be taken back by how long it is. They might be taken back that it's a little drawn out to get to certain things. There is little action, that brings you into it. The thing that also, we talked about WandaVision and the fake CGI, like when they had the shootout inside the apartment. I was like, who is that? Do they have a flashlight that they flickering for these gunfires? Like, it didn't come across as being realistic inside of that aspect. I love Daniel Kaluuya in general. I think that he's a phenomenal actor in all the work. So I was very excited to see him. I learned something. I didn't know who Fred Hampton was or anything about him. Like I said, I originally thought this story was about Black Panthers, and I don't want to make my review very long, but to wrap it up, that is my summary of what I thought about it. That is my rating that I give it. It is definitely worth watching and learning something. If you're looking at it to watch it as a movie, then yeah, you may not enjoy it. But if you're watching it to learn something about this, I think that your eyes will be open, your mind will be open to accepting it and appreciating it for what it was worth. So I am a revolutionary.
When I was going to start like this, and I was like, nah, but I am a revolution. That's all we have for you guys today on Film Addict. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell. Okay, and we're back to it. Are you playing a flute? I don't even. Maybe I'm gonna have to send you to mime class, and we'll just get you up to par on doing some better miming here. But thank you everybody for joining us, and as always, this has been another exciting episode of Film Addict.